Palmistry reading of a particular person who is left-handed and his age is 24. So we'll be reading his hand. There were a few questions that he had in his mind. He was inquiring about after the age of 51 and 71. Some palmists might have told him that period is going to be a very very bad period for him, and everything is going to get destroyed, something like this. See, people shouldn't worry about what's going to happen so many years down the line. They should basically concentrate on now, because that period is basically a period which is going to come really late. But still, I will try to tell you whatever basically I can tell on his particular hand. See, after the age of 53 and between the age of 71. So this is the heart line, and above the heart line, under the finger of Saturn, this is the area where we are going to say if the person is going to have a reasonably good financial life. So this is one area. So you would notice that this is the main this is the main money line, and this is the headline, and this is the heartline, and this portion is before the age of 35, this portion is 35 to 53, this portion is 53 to 75. So you would notice that there is not one but multiple lines, and those lines are kind of making a V or a Y like portion. V or a Y like portion under the fingers is considered to be good, and the person shouldn't basically worry too much. Apart from that, these are parallel lines also, you can see, not one but two. So parallel lines, what it does is that it preserves one's finances, and it is kind of a pillar of strength. See, one line means one, and another line running parallel means another pillar of strength of money, like another source of income that might be there. Not necessarily 100% people who have dual line do not, it doesn't mean that 100% they would have two finances, like two sources of income. It need not be. So this is one way of looking at it. Apart from that, he also wanted to know how his present life is going to be. So there are few positives and few negatives. So I'm just going to tell you few negatives as well. This is the area, this is the lifeline, and lifeline encircles two planets. This is the area of Mars, negative. This is just a name, and this is Venus. So these both areas basically govern our health and stamina and vitality and the fire within us. So people who have a disturbed area of Mount of Mars, people who have got a disturbed Mount of Mars, we are seeing many lines crossing over, something like these. So disturbances gets created. So these are lines of oppositions, and whenever these lines are strong, what they do is that they kind of create blockages, and they kind of create restrictions, and they kind of uh, bring in uh, these lines bring in uh, restrictions and stoppages in what you are doing. Now, depending upon the line, suppose a line comes and crosses over the money line, this is the basically the money line, and touches the headline out here. So at this portion of the headline, this is when few problems can arise. So consider this is the headline. So this portion of the headline is before the age of 35, and this portion is after the age of 35. This portion is before the age of 35, and this portion is after the age of 35. So the trouble is coming somewhere after the age of 35, somewhere, because if it was very near to the intersection of the money and head, it would have been very close to 35 age. But because it's reasonably far away, and I would say approximately the problem could come around the age of 50, 53. But it doesn't mean that that problem is going to completely demoralize that particular person. It need not be, if the line as such is reasonably good, because the line of head is reasonably deep and clear even beyond The trouble line, you would notice this portion is of the headline is this portion after the age of 50, 53. So it's reasonably good. So if it's reasonably good, deep and clear headline, in spite of the crossing over of the trouble line from the Mount of Mars, the line of opposition, still the person would be able to like kind of stand on his feet, and he would be able to face the trouble and nothing is going to happen to him. So this is just one way of looking at the lines as such. The troubles, there are too many lines out here on the line of Mount of Mars might bring about anger that is uncontrolled and anger that is misguided anger. See, aggression is not a negative word. This is the area of aggression in fire, the area of Mars negative. Aggression in fire. There are two kinds of aggression in fire. One is positive aggression. Positive aggression is there to kind of get your work done. And negative aggression is sometimes when what happens is when there are too many lines, what happens is that the person is getting angry over wrong issues. So this is where the person needs to take stock of things and kind of control his anger. And lines out here kind of disturb our energies, because Venus is area of energies and Mars is the area of fire, the fire within us, the spark within us. uh, the trouble that there's another trouble line that I've already explained in my previous video of this same particular hand. This is the heart line, and there's a very strong line, very strong line hanging from the main line of heart, hanging onto the headline. This is the headline. So normally, if see what happens is that these lines should be independent lines and they shouldn't basically touch each other. Uh, if they touch each other, they bring about some amount of problem. And main problem comes if from the heart line a line basically hangs downward. That is a negative line. But if a line from the head moves upward, those are not negative lines. Those are basically positive lines. But in this case, we find that the line is hanging on from the heart line and hanging and touching the line of fate also out here, and the headline as such. So what happens is that there could be some misplaced affections which might bring about trouble. This line, when it touches the headline, it brings about some misplaced affection or some anxiety issues or some issues related to your relationships, which is going to bother you and which is going to trouble you. And the timing as such, if we notice that it is touching this trouble line is touching the problem line from the heart is touching the money line at the age at this particular point, and this point is beyond the age of 35 on the money line. This is the intersection. So this intersection is 835 on the money line. So this portion where the line trouble line it touches approximately at the age of 39-40. This is when few problems can arise. But if you notice very carefully, this is the money line, and there's another parallel line that starts somewhere at the age of approximately 40, 41. That's when another money line basically starts, a parallel line that is running for a long period of time from the age of, let's say, 41 till the age of 53, 55. That's the approximate age when these dual lines of money is running, and it brings in strength to what we basically do. Uh, a good line on the heart can be seen. This is the problem line, but there's a good line also. If you notice that this is the heart line, there's a backward kind of a line pointing towards the Mount of Mercury. Heart line uh, branches, if they point towards the fingers, any finger, they are considered to be good. And specifically, if it angles towards the Mount of Mercury, even that is considered to be a good sign. Uh, Maybe it might bring in very good calculations, those kind of things. You would also notice parallel these standing lines, perpendicular lines under the Mount of Mercury brings in skill. The person would have good set of skills, and skills is the thing that brings in money. This is the line of Sun, it's reasonably okay, but it's not very strong, nor is it very weak. So these sun lines is the line of name and fame also, but at the same time, how much energies you are going to give to your work. See, energies, for energies, we look at the amount of Venus, but how much energies we are giving to our work is depicted by our sun line. So this is the way to basically take a look at the things that we interpret. Now, upward lines, you would notice that there's an upward line from the mount of Jupiter. This is the mount of Jupiter, and joining into the main line of head or the lifeline. This is a good line. This brings in high position and honor in one's life. It's considered to be a good sign to have. And I'm just taking a look at another an image where I can see better things. Uh, One more thing I need to add out here, you would notice this is the headline, this this is the money line intersection, this portion is before the age of 35. You would notice that if we zoom in, you would find that the main headline is stopping and new headlines are basically coming up. So somewhere from the age of 30, 33, 35, that's when few mental changes are going to take place, and it might be a time of instability in the mind where the person is changing from one to something else, like a major personality change takes place during those particular period. And let's take a look at the this is this appears to be very much clear. You would notice dual kind of money line out here, so it's a good sign. Parallel lines towards the end, V or a Y like portion pointing towards the fingers is considered to be good. So these indications are good. And you'd notice that on the money line, as such, you would find this is the money line. Few lines are crossing over like these. If these same lines were joining into the main money line, they would have been considered to be much better. But because they are crossing over, uh, the benefits that are supposed to come may not come fully. And this portion of life is somewhere from the age of 25 to the age of approximately 32. That's the age that we can indicate. I would advise this particular person to kind of control his anger. Anger is bad for everything. This is disturbed area of Mount of Mars. Basically, it disturbs one's one's life, and uh, the person needs to control his basically anger. This is my suggestion to him. And this is his right hand that we see. You notice that in this particular hand, this is the main money line, the line is joining in, and the time when it joins in the main money line, this branch is approximately at the age of 28 or so. This is the approximate age, I would say. Strong line can be seen under the mount of Mercury. Strong lines pointing towards the mount of Mercury is also considered to be good for skills. And apart from that, a strong sun line also brings in good amount of success after the age of 53. Above the heart line and below the fingers, this particular line is this line starts at the age of 53, and 53 and beyond, the person has got a good sign line. So I would say that the person should have a fairly good career, and success should basically come to him. So I do find success. Same kind of upward lines, uh, perpendicular lines can be seen under the mount of Jupiter. These bring in high position and honor. So, as such, I would say hand is good. There are few things that the person needs to control. One is not waste his energy. These are wasting of energies, and this is wasting of your fire. On the mount of Mars, these lines is wasting fire. On the mount of Venus, it is wasting of your energies. So energies, a person who wastes his energies and wastes his fire, the chances of success basically gets restricted. So if we are able to control our anger and control our fire, that's when we get maximum success. And uh, and I find that the heartline is quite neat and clean, so the person is reasonably focused according to the right hand. Just these branches that we see out here, a few branches out here, these are negative lines that I've already explained to you on the left hand. And uh, and let's take a last look out here. The finger of Mercury is a little bit short. A short Mercury finger might, like, the person might create distance between their near and dear ones. This is a suggestion I would give, that try to effectively communicate with your near and dear ones. See, with a finger that is short, these people might communicate with far away people much more effectively than people who are really close by. So this is my suggestion, that uh, they should try to communicate in an effective way with people who are near and dear ones. A short mercury finger sometimes also, uh, these people feel that they need to educate and study. So the desire to study might increase, the desire to get degrees also might increase with a shorter mercury finger. So this is what it is. And thank you for watching this video. I just repeat one more thing in almost all my videos, that money line is not everything. There's You have to look at the hand overall. That's when you can get to know about the whole life as such. One line negative doesn't mean that everything is bad. One good line doesn't mean everything is going to be one good line doesn't mean everything is going to be very good, and one bad line doesn't mean everything is going to be bad. So it's a overall whole hand we have to see and analyze, and then we basically come to a conclusion. So reasonably, I find the hand to be good. And that's it for this particular reading. I hope you like this particular video. If you like this video, click on the like button and do subscribe to my channel. Bye and take care.